to Well Top Podcast. You know, we're so honored that every time the show is getting better and better. I guess it's getting out there, and we appreciate the support. You know, one of the main things for the show is for us to get the information out there, you know, from the foundational principles of the MAT book, which is wealth creation, you know, and feeling good, well-being, you know, and we have people of all different industries, you know, of wealth creation. And right now we have a very special guest with us. And every single time I reached out, he has responded. That's a big thing. We're going to get deeper into that. But Mayor Patrick Brown, thank you for coming on the Well Top Podcast.
Well, Richard, first of all, let me say I love your positive energy. We need go-getters, and you're a go-getter. You're someone who is motivated, determined, and I love that type of attitude.
Okay. Yeah, talking about that, I remember when I first went to the first campaign, you know, Candace, shout out to Candace, she invited me, you know, for when you were first running from the last campaign, and I came in a room and I was taking it in, and I was like, you know, okay, you know, another politician, you know, I'm here. And I was taking it in, but then I seen Garnet Manning stand up, and Garnet Manning's back, and I'm like, okay, all right, I can hear this guy more. You know, I believed in you a little more when I seen that, because my relationship with Garnet Manning. And then I was listening to you were talking, and then after that was done, I was going around networking, talking to the people there. I was there for a few hours, right? And then I see you pop back. I'm like, you're still here? I don't know if you remember that, because most people have been gone for the day, you know. And the fact that you're still there, it shows that you're really in this. You know, but with the Well Top Podcast, we want to take it all the way back. We're going to get to all that stuff, but I want to know, like, where were you born? You know, what was life like growing up? You know, get more deeper into the story.
Well, I'm 44 now, so I've lived, grew up initially in Toronto, born in Toronto, 1978. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So you got to talk to me about that, growing up in Toronto. I know you have some siblings, like, go deeper into, like, you know, like how it was growing up, like what was life like as a child, like, and growing up, different, you know, things, because I see who you are and you're a person of service. So I want to know, you know, the backstory. I want to know how do we get here? Like, how did we get here? You know, so if you don't mind sharing stuff. Okay, so you're in Toronto, you know, the year you were born, and what was it like?
I don't remember much from 1978 because I was, you know, obviously a baby, but two younger sisters grew up in Toronto. My father's work was in Brampton, a long-time lawyer. My mother's family originally from Barrie, but their work brought them to the GTA. My mother's a retired teacher and high school principal. My father still practices law, and he's in his 80s. And, yeah, we've always sort of been in that area, whether it was up in Barrie or down in Brampton in Toronto, and had a great childhood, very close-knit family. And yeah, so only good memories. Okay.
I know you're into hockey too, so was that one of your primary focuses when you're young?
I loved all sports. I played everything from soccer to baseball to tennis to hockey to skiing. You know, now I've sort of, the only sports I keep up are tennis and hockey, but when I was young, I played everything.
You played ball? Basketball?
Baseball, anything, any sport.
Yeah, you're nice with it, or you can at least hit the shot.
You know what? Basketball wasn't too popular at the school I was at, but we would do it in gym class.
Okay. We're gonna get into that because basketball is a big thing and it's growing. You know, and I know you're really into sports as well, right? But basketball is really growing out here. So, and I like that you have a sports background. You know, so in terms of like public service, like, you know, what, like I want us to go through, like, coming up, like in school, like were you part of like the council in school? Like I want to know more about, like.
No, never got involved in student council. But I would say I see the growth of sports in Brampton, which is pretty exciting. You saw when the Raptors had their run, the massive turnouts we had at Garden Square. Right now, I'm seeing soccer on fire in Brampton. You know, gold medal winners from the women's national team. Half of the national Canadian soccer team is from Brampton, the one that's going to the World Cup for the men's squad. So cricket is booming in the city too. So, you know, I'm certainly seeing in Brampton a greater array of recreational interest. And so it's neat. I love seeing it.
Okay, no, that's amazing. You know, but like I want it because, and then that's the thing with sports. You know, it's about teamwork. It's about coming together. It's about working with each other, right? And I see your team as well, right? But like, how did your like the political journey start? Like, I want to get there. Like, I want to, because I see you now, but I never got to get this information, so I want to know, like, how did it start? Like, was it an incident that happened? Like, that's why I'm trying to go back and, you know, like, see how do we get to, you know, where we are now?
Well, you know, the neat thing about politics in Canada is it's accessible, and so there's no age barrier in participation. I got interested in politics young.
Okay.
I wanted to build a recreation center on the north end of Barrie, where I ran for the first time.
Okay.
And that's the reality, is that if you have a good idea, you just knock on doors and you can pitch it, and the best ideas win. And so, you know, you know, people say, you know, how did you get to become mayor, or how did you get involved in politics? And the incredible thing in Canada is, as much as we may have our criticisms of the political system, it's easy to be involved.
You just gotta want to be involved.
You just gotta want to be involved.
That's the really deep, and that's what I guess that's the case with you.
Yeah.
So there was a venue that you wanted to get built, and you said, I'm getting into politics. I want to get built. No one else is doing this. I'm going to run that. So that was pretty much the spark.
It's like SimCity in real life.
Okay.
You remember the old computer game SimCity? That's it. That's politics. Is that you have a good idea, you get elected, you can turn it into fruition.
Okay, and then with Barrie, you said that was your first political position. So what were you at that time, like a council?
So I got elected for the first time when I was 22 in Barrie.
Okay.
Then got re-elected by the largest margin in the city 3 years later.
Wow.
Because I kept my word, and I would go on to spend 3 terms as a member of Parliament.
Nice.
And then go on to be leader of the Ontario Conservative Party, leader of the opposition Ontario, and MPP up in Simcoe County and Simcoe North, which is the Penetanguishene Midland area. And then down to Brampton after that, where I've been mayor for the last 4 years. So just like that, you get 20 years.
And I'm sure it brings you joy in terms of what you're doing, because one thing I would like about you is that you're forward thinking, you know, and that's what we need. We need forward thinking people, especially for developing areas, right? Like even recently, you know, we did the legalization of cannabis and stuff like that. That was forward thinking. So I know your party stats and everything like that, but I got to give it up to Justin Trudeau, because there's a lot of people that, you know, wouldn't touch that, you know, and he touched it, you know, and I'm saying that because of, you know, what we want to do with the youth, and we don't want to automatically give them that stamp where, okay, you're a criminal right from the jump, right? We want to give them the opportunity, and that's not a criminal offense, and to alleviate that has saved so many people. You know, I know that firsthand because I grew up in that, right? And then when the council, and you came in with the council, and then it was about, okay, I guess the stores in the city and things like that. Other cities just automatically shut it down, but you had an open mind and you opened it up to the community, and you kind of like made it like a group thing where everyone gets to, you know, choose what the outcome is, you know? And so I think that's something like what you said, you gather people, I guess, with this idea, but you let people feel like they're involved in it. Is that something that you would agree?
So we do believe in having as much public participation as possible. We have town halls in person, we have tele-town halls. I'm a big believer, the more you involve the city, the greater input they can have, and the better the decisions are going to be. End of the day, City Hall should be a reflection of the views of the city. And so if you have a city council and a mayor that wants to be directly engaged, then I think you're going to have decisions that are better rooted in the interest of the city.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And right now, I know, you know, the re-election's coming up, you know, so of course, you know, you're running. I think you've got it in bed, but we're still going to push it and put it out there. And I say we're because, like I said, you're inclusive. You know, so I want you to talk about the inclusivity, you know, and having people involved, you know, like, you know, we just had Yashua drop us off. I know Francis, who's amazing, you know, she's an all-star, you know, and like when I see your team, it's very diverse, you know, so I want you to go deeper into that. Why is that important, you know, for inclusivity like that?
Well, I want City Hall to reflect the mosaic of the city, and the city is a mosaic. It's many United Nations. And you know, my driving goal for the city is to make sure anything's possible in Brampton. Doesn't matter who you love, where you're born, the color of your skin, what God you worship. I want anyone who's willing to work hard to have the capacity to succeed and chase their dreams. And that's part of the beauty of Brampton. It's part of the beauty of Canada. And wherever I see barriers, I want to tear them down.
So where do you see barriers?
There are still barriers in this country. You see an inequality of economic opportunity. You see inequality of wealth generation. There are some barriers that I've criticized. You look at foreign credential recognition, where people have degrees from elsewhere that they can't use here. I find the immigration wait times to reunite families are atrocious. So, there are issues that we need to work on to make sure that Canadian dream continues to be possible. When I think of Canada, I think of the fact that you can come to this country with just the shirt on your back and achieve incredible prosperity. And so I think anyone involved in public service today needs to make sure that we do everything we can to make sure the Canadian dream continues to be possible.
That's deep. And what you said about coming from a different country with credentials, that's so prevalent all over Brampton, in all communities, where they're maybe a doctor back home and they come here and they have to
doctor, teachers, engineers,
exactly,
nurses.
So what's the solution? How do we solve that?
Well, it's a mix of provincial regulatory bodies and federal immigration approvals. But in Brampton, we've been lobbying for that change, and we're going to continue to lobby in a determined fashion to make sure that everyone can use their God-given talent in the city and in this country.
Yeah, exactly. And even people from different countries. Because I know my where I'm from is Ghana, my background. I was born here in Canada, but my parents are from Ghana, and there's a lot of people that I know want to come here. Right, but they may not have those resources that a few other people are able to have. Because if you have a certain amount of money, you could get in here, right? But they don't have those resources. So we want to find out solutions, and we're looking. I have a few relatives that are trying to get here, and we're looking seeing how we could get them here and what kind of way can it be done. Why are there so many restrictions? Why are there so many blocks in making this happen? Like you said, these people are able to come with a shirt on their back and make an opportunity, but they can't even get here, right? So how do we, what things need to be done for this?
It takes political will. It takes having the right people in the right positions, and that's one of the reasons that I continue to bring this into the political discussion, because I want our provincial and federal decision makers to know that we need to do better, that we have the longest backlog in Canadian history for immigration. The fact that you've got families that can't be reunited, and that we have a skills shortage that cannot be addressed. The fact that we have credentials that are not being recognized, for me, is a failure of the Canadian dream. And more of us need to speak up to say, fix it. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm hoping that that this message gets out to certain people, because these are things that are affecting people on the street. I'm out there, I'm connecting with people, so I'm hearing the concerns, I'm seeing the concerns and experiencing them, right? And I see you're doing the same. You're in within every community, right? And that's one thing that I think resonates. Black and brown people with Patrick Brown. I keep it real, because we see what's going on the political front, right? You're pushing to think, and then there's a block, and then but you still push. The recent situation, what happened, I know, I was running for you to be prime minister. You're going to be prime minister. It's going to happen. But, I was running for that, and then automatically something comes, you push down. I seen your interview after, and you were smiling, So you're built for that. You're built for that, and, I can relate, because there's so many blocks that I had, but you keep pushing, and you keep going.
And it comes with the recognition that no change worth achieving comes without difficulty. Nothing great is going to just land in your lap. You have to push, you have to work, and there's always going to be pushback against change. But I believe change is a powerful force, and if you're on the right side of history, then the currents of history will propel change. And it's just a matter of time. And so, I've challenged some of our traditional political establishment. I looked at the Conservative Party of today, and I challenged them. I said they were wrong on marriage equality, wrong on Islamophobia, wrong on Bill 21 in Quebec, where it says you can lose your job based on your faith. And I know to criticize the political establishment doesn't come without repercussions, but I believe history will show that the positions that some of our political establishment have taken are wrong, and they need to evolve.
It's so true because, and like you said, in times of change, right? And I actually have a company that back in the day, I want to get into that too and let you know about that. It's called Change Promotions, and it was for Brampton, and that's pretty much exactly what it was about, providing opportunity, for the people in the city. And it's still running right now. My brother runs it more on the business front with marketing, print, design, distribution, and stuff like that. And we want to bring back the showcases, but that's something that goes deeper because, that's another thing that we need to do. But like you said, in times of change, when things are happening, you resist, it's going to happen. It's kind of like the CDs. Before everyone had their CD and they listened to music, they put it in a disc player, right? And then after, the Napster, a company called Napster came out, where you could rip MP3s, and then people started downloading music, and then they got sued by like the major companies, the corporate, they sued them, right? And then they went out of business. Another company came, LimeWire, sued them, and then another company, and then iPod came out. iPod, you transfer it straight digital, So it's like, okay. Because what Apple did is they embraced the change that was happening, right? All the labels were trying to stop it, and then
don't fight change, embrace it.
Exactly. So and at the same time, like you said, it's happening, and I appreciate you, for bringing those things out there, right? And when you bring up God as well, that's so important. Another principle within the map book, and I want you to talk about spirituality and why it's so important to have that connection, with God.
I think faith is a powerful force, and I think our faith communities in the city do a tremendous amount of good. And sometimes there's this political correctness where you say, pretend that faith doesn't exist. I don't think that's helpful. I think faith gives many in our community strength and fortitude and helps them through adversity. So I come from the position, don't try to trample on faith communities. Don't try to have this level of political correctness that says that faith cannot exist. Say, great. If you want to celebrate your faith, wonderful. I just think sometimes political correctness goes too far. An example would be in Brampton. When I got elected, I heard you couldn't put Merry Christmas on a bus. You couldn't have gospel singing at City Hall. And I said, listen, let everyone celebrate their faith. You want to say Happy Eid, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas? Go ahead. Just let every faith equally celebrate their faith. And so, for me, it's just about equality, and I push back against this political culture of saying that faith should be pushed to the corner and not seen. If you want to wear a turban, if you want to wear a hijab, it's part of your identity. What place does government have telling you that you can't wear a turban, or you can't say Merry Christmas, or you can't wear a hijab? I think that is a massive overreach of government. It's why I've always pushed back against that. I believe that one of the values that we must protect in our society is religious freedom. And religious freedom means if you don't want to believe in faith, you don't have to. But it also means that if you want to believe, if you want to have faith, you want to celebrate your faith, the government has no business ever telling you can't.
So that's really deep, and that's the truth, because we're all finding ourselves, and to find ourselves, we have to go through that path of connecting with oneself, connecting with God, right? And that's so important, and I appreciate you for always putting that out there, because you can't find yourself unless you find God, right? So that's amazing that that's something that I see. It's continual in your messaging, when you're out there and you're putting that out there, right? And right now, we are in Brampton, and I would say personally, me, I'll say my heart is liberal, but my mind is conservative. I would say that, right? The reason why I say that is because, just growing up, business, I always had interest in business, right? And I say on a conservative front, it's more business focused. On liberal, it's more, giving out and looking out, which is appreciated. But right now, we need more businesses, right? Because businesses are, what make the economy grow. Businesses are what allow people to have employees. businesses are pretty much how everything's be able to run, right? So, you know, I want you to speak on, you know, because right now you're mayor of Brampton, you're running again, right? And I want to know, like, your mindset of business, and, you know, like, obviously it's important to you, but talk about, you know, for Brampton and even in general, why business is important.
Well, I think you need to create jobs. I think jobs are part of prosperity, and you want to make sure that people have the ability to put food on the table. And so when I think of businesses, I think you want to create an environment where it's easy to invest and grow a business within the parameters of our city, for the selfish reason that if you have lots of jobs and you have businesses that are growing, then you have the tax resources, the tax base to support everything that's important, from healthcare to recreation. You need people paying taxes to support great programs. And the easiest way to have a strong tax base is not by raising taxes, but by having businesses that are successful. The more successful they are, the more they contribute to the treasury.
So how can the city of Brampton assist businesses in getting to the next, every next level? Because there's different levels of business. There's people who are just starting business. There's people who've been in business for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, you know, large corporations. How can the city, you know, collaborate with business owners so that we can, honestly, I feel Brampton has the potential to be the best city in the world. Do you agree with me?
I think that potential is unlimited for Brampton.
Yes, exactly. The best city in the world. But talk about that, like different levels, like how can the city assist these businesses?
So I think there's a number of things. You need to make sure that the fundamentals are right. And if you're a business, you're going to look at what the cost of doing business in a city is. And the Municipal Act says you can't partner with any individual business, but you can set the fundamentals to give a business an advantage in your city. What I mean by that is you can make sure that taxes are competitive. You can make sure you've got the ability to get product to marketplace through effective transportation networks. You can make sure there's no red tape for whatever permits that are required to build, to grow, to invest. And so you look at the environment that a business faces in a city, you just want to make sure that the cost of doing business in your city are less than the cost of doing business in other cities. And that will be a magnet to investment if you can create positive fundamentals.
I know right now you were talking about, you know, attracting large corporations over here. I know Rogers is expanding over here in downtown core, right? You know, like what industries do you feel we need to go out and attract, you know, in the city?
Well, I really want to look at the jobs of tomorrow. You know, if you're trying to recruit a business to sell VHS tapes right now or pagers, that's not a growth sector. I'm really focused on growth sectors. Our MDA expansion, that is for the International Space Station, that is a growth sector. Our cybersecurity center, that is a growth sector. Our innovation district is focused on tech companies. If you look at Medtronic, medical devices, if you look at Canon that is doing medical imaging, those are all examples of jobs of tomorrow. So from a city perspective, what excites me is when I see companies that are really focused on where the world and the economy is going. And so I'd say in that tech innovation space is where I think Brampton can really find a special niche.
Yeah, for sure. And also the arts. You know, Jade Jagger Clark,
she's awesome.
Yes, Jade's amazing. I was trying to get her on before this because I know she had some stuff she wanted me to say with you as well. But I met her at my cousin's birthday party. She's
well, she's like you. She's got a ton of positive energy.
Yeah,
and she has built something special in Brampton that's been recognized on international TV shows. And you see her down at the Raptors game. And I'm a big believer that, you know, arts has economic spin-off, and that if you want to recruit businesses to your community, of course they're going to look at the cost of doing business, but one thing that gets looked at as well is quality of life. And I think if you have great recreation, great arts and cultural programs, that speaks to quality of life that may attract executives to say, yes, I want to build my business here, I want to live here. And when I look at what Jade's Hip Hop Academy does, is it provides a cultural amenity, an arts amenity that is very successful. And the kids that go to her program love it. And so any program like that, anyone that's looking to build a niche business that is based around arts or culture or recreation, I'm very supportive of.
Well, that's why I'm glad we're going deeper into that, because I guess in the educational system they have the STEM, and she's saying there should be STEAM with an A, with, like you're saying, the arts, and I'm glad that you brought that to the forefront because you're recognizing it, right? And arts, like I told you, I give a little backstory on me too. Like in 06, after I finished high school and stuff like that, I ran a basketball tournament. Right, it was in Brampton. And the reason why I ran that tournament is because there was no rims outside in all of Brampton. At the summertime, every school and everyone take down the rims, so it's just backwards. Yeah. Right, there was no basketball unless you had a basketball net at your house, which not everyone does. That was the only way you're able to play basketball. So we had our team changed promotions, and we went around the whole city just recruiting basketball players. We were gonna have this 3-on-3 basketball tournament. It's gonna be and the tournament was amazing. And from there, we were like a prime time, right? So the prime time was we wanted to do some performers, right? So I put an outreach there, and this before like Facebook and all that. So I had to really go out there, and we got like hundreds of people that wanted to perform in this prime time, and we only needed 3 acts. So we're like, holy, this is serious. We need to do a talent show. So when the Heritage Theater, now it's closed down, but the Heritage Theater, we ran a showcase, right? And kind of Shining Stars. And then from there, we went to the Rose. We're like the first event to sell out the Rose Theater, right? And it's like a showcase from all talents from around, Brampton, but outside of Brampton too, GTA. We brought Drake out, to Brampton. Drake's a worldwide artist now, but, a lot of different artists perform in the showcase that we had here in the city, right? I have to shout out Susan Fennell. She was the mayor at that time. And when I approached, it took me some time to get in, but when I approached her, she opened her door. She asked, "How can we help?"
And she was very supportive of recreation and sports.
Yeah, and arts. Yeah, art, big time. Yeah, for sure. For the support that she did was amazing, and we sold out the event. And it was a big time event. Then Linda Jeffrey came in and kind of shut the door on us. Like we couldn't even penetrate the mayor's office. So then when you were running, I was all on board because I was definitely going to root for someone other than the person just shutting me out of the city hall. And then, met you guys and you embraced me. And that's what we need people to embrace, because the arts here and the talent here in Brampton is massive, right? And we have the resources to really make Brampton even be known as one of the primary arts cores. With Jade, she was our judge, it's along with Drake and a few other big prominent people that we had scouting the talent, performance, and we give prizes and all this kind of stuff, right? But the arts is something that I feel in Brampton it doesn't really get much attention. You don't really see it promoted as much. And like you said, the way of living, and Brampton's mostly families. Brampton, as you're wearing, I see your lovely family as well. I think it was your son's birthday yesterday or something like that, right? Happy birthday to him, and we'll get into your family. But Brampton's a family place. We want places for them to go, right? So, I just want you to, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you want to have the best recreational amenities, the best arts amenities. Everyone's going to have a different love and passion. You want to make sure young people can pursue whatever passion they have in the city, and I think it's our responsibility to look at ways to cultivate a vibrant recreational and art scene in our city.
Yeah, thank you very much. And what I just mentioned there with the Linda Jeffrey shutting us out, I have to say, like on a higher level, I see, like I said, I got love for Justin Trudeau, but the truckers thing, how he blocked out people, that kind of made me lose a little respect, because even though people may have differences and maybe you're not really feeling them, at least open a door and at least hear them, right? And that's something that you do, right? So I want you to tell me, why is that? Why do you do that?
I think it's important to listen and talk and engage with everyone. It's democracy. I would say the only line in the sand would be intolerance or hate. So if there's an organization that is pushing hate towards another group, then I have no time for them. But as long as the engagement is, and the input and the meeting is based on ideas, not pushing another group down, then I think it's important to always have dialogue.
Do you think this helps you with your ideas as well, like in terms of what you feel?
Yeah, I think the more input makes for better ideas. There's no monopoly on a good idea. So the better and the wider the array of input, the stronger the decision is going to be.
Okay, nice. So I want to know, like, in terms of your vision, because you're mayor, you're running for mayor, and you are a mayor, right? And I guess mayor terms, like, what is it, 4 years?
4 year terms.
4 year terms, right? So what is your vision?
I just want to make Brampton I want to make Brampton the best it can be, and for that, you really want to enable Brampton to reach its potential. And I think there's a ton of potential here that's untapped, but it's about creating the conditions in when it can hit its goals. And whether that's creating a competitive environment for business growth, whether it's about supporting the arts scene, whether it's about expanding recreation to lead healthy, active lifestyles, whether it's about creating incubation for the jobs of the future. Those are all about the building blocks for allow Brampton to be its best.
Yeah, and I like the creativity, that you have, right? Like, I think you took off the fare for, I guess, elders, and your last campaign, and that's something you follow through. Yeah. You follow through because you were asked too, like, how are you gonna recompensate from this? He said, we're gonna be creative. Maybe we're going to give sponsorship to different venues or something like that, right? And then I've seen the Save Max, venue over there by the soccer center, So those are like innovative moves that, regular City Hall people weren't bringing, So that's why I appreciate you running for Prime Minister, because it shows that your vision is bigger. You're thinking bigger, and that's what we need. Like, honestly, like I said, I think Brampton has potential being the best city in the world, right? And I'm glad that we have a mayor that has, a large view on things, so, with your vision, with Brampton, that's amazing, but there's different areas in the city, that, I'm a real estate broker, right? So in the real estate community, we want to know, like, on the west side of Brampton, like after Mississauga Road, right? There's a big field there, all over there. Like, what's proposed for that site? And then also on the Gore side, there's a big piece of land there. Like, what's proposed for these areas?
So in the Northwest Quadrant, we do have land that is held by the city for the purposes of when we get approval for a third hospital.
Okay.
And that's still a distance away. We've got to get the second hospital built, which we've got a $1 billion commitment now from the provincial government on. In terms of the East End, we have additional land that has been procured by the city for the purposes of additional recreational amenities.
Okay.
So there's a lot of good things on the go in the city, and we're preparing for when we get additional partnerships.
Okay. Recreational facilities like outdoor swimming pool. We need a big outdoor swimming pool. I'm saying that because yesterday it was hot, so I wanted to take my kids out for swimming, and then I went by I think it was Loafers Lake. They said, okay, it's adult swim. They said the closest place is Eldorado Park. So I drove down to Eldorado Park with them, and so I had like 30 minutes left to swim. And then when I got there, the lady said, it's closed. You have to register 15 minutes within a time. Like, I think my kids, I even give me 5 minutes in here, my kids are looking to swim, Oh, sorry, we can't do it. And then another lady came with her kids, and then same thing she'll say to her. She's like, like, what's going on? So then after the lady went around, talked to somebody, and then they finally opened it up. And, thank God my kids got to swim. Like, they loved it. But, it was like, we drove pretty much halfway through the city, to get to this swimming pool. So I'm just saying with recreation, is that proposed? Because I know there's a lot of splash parks. I know there's, different stuff. But, like, for all different kinds of recreation, like you said, for families, is that something proposed? Or?
So that's something that you could certainly bring up if you want to make that suggestion at budget time. When we do our budget, we have citizen delegations for any new ideas, and if you wanted to propose, and you get any citizen can come, and they get 5 minutes to say, add this to the master plan.
Okay. Yeah. So when does, like, how do they know about this? Like, for the
city will advertise it across the city. It's on the city website, social media, newspaper. It's usually every November every year.
November of the year. So November of the year, that's when it's
November, December we do budget. Yeah.
That's budget, and then the budget's pretty much what's planned out for the year. Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. Okay. See, like, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of people that don't know the details of politics, right? And I even Frances, I brought up Frances from before, and that's what she said. That she was shocked because I guess you made her like a campaign manager at such a young age in Barrie, and it's like, and she didn't understand that what you've seen in her, so I guess, like, what is it that you see in like, I guess, the young talent and the young people? You must have like some certain kind of eye in terms of people.
I hope I have an eye for talent.
Okay.
And certainly in Frances's case, she's incredibly talented, and it was easy to determine very quickly that she is a great speaker, a great organizer, and has a great ability to connect with people, and she's passionate about her ancestry as well, which is her mother's from Zimbabwe, and I find it their journey particularly inspiring, and so I'm a big believer that if you give people opportunities, they can do great.
That's amazing, because it seems like even you believed in her more than she did initially, but now you just see her; she runs the show. Yeah. Like, she's not small at all. She's big time. Like, when you see Frances, you know she's in a place. Yeah. I want you to talk about Garnet Manning too, because Garnet Manning, when in terms my relationship with him, like I said, when we had these events in the past, he reached out to me. That's how I even got kind of like in the whole city council thing, because we were just running our stuff. And then he reached out to me and he said, hey, I'm a counselor, in this area. How can I participate in what you got going on? I want to help you and stuff like that. And then, he had the basketball court that he opened up. Like, he was someone that you could see he really reached out and cared for the people. And that's why I said, when I seen Garnet Manning at your thing, that's what it gave you kind of like a bad, okay, this guy's solidified. So I want you to go.
Garnet's just a great leader in our community. He was a trailblazer. He stood tall. He fought for issues he cared about. And Garnet's someone that I will always lean on for advice and guidance. He's a good man. There's not many people built the way Garnet is, and I think he's mentored many in the community.
So your relationship, how does that?
Met Garnet many years ago.
Okay.
So he ended up playing a very key role in my first election campaign as mayor.
Oh, wow. Okay, nice. Yeah, for sure. Definitely, he did rally up the people. Yeah. I will give him that. I want to just go into a certain situation right now. Like I see in City Hall, because of course we're going to run, but there's a little friction back and forth that's going on in City Hall. Obviously, everyone in the city wants things to move forward, right? But like, what's going on? How can we solve this?
So we need good people to put their name forward. I need to have a council where everyone wants to go to work and put the city first. Unfortunately, right now we got 4 councillors that have taken an extended vacation, and they've picked vacation over the work of the city. So I can't get them to show up to work. I need them to show up to work. Ultimately, we have an election in October, and hopefully voters will choose to elect councillors that are willing to show up and do their job.
Yeah, because and do you think it's just not like, I don't know, like it seems like it's out of spite or something. I don't know, like it doesn't make sense to me, because right now you guys are in that position for the people, right? So like it's kind of immature, I'll be honest, man.
And it's a variety of reasons. Yeah. You've got one person who's off on a beach in Portugal, another person who's doesn't want to work in the summer because it's their cottage time. And for me, I'm like, you got elected. You get a paycheck as a city councillor. Show up. And we got another councillor that got found guilty by the integrity commissioner for allegations of sexual assault. And so he doesn't want to come to council and have to answer questions about that. And so, I got some great councillors around the table that are very committed, working very hard. I just need more of them.
Oh, so I guess now's the perfect time, right? Because it's election time.
Yeah, election time.
Yeah, exactly.
We're looking for good people. You want to run?
Nah, man, I don't do politics, man. Politics is too much, man. Like,
let me say it on the record here. You'd be a great candidate.
Oh, yeah. My whole thing is...
You know why? Because I can tell you care about the community.
Of course, almost
like
definitely.
That basketball tournament you organized years ago when you were young speaks to the fact you wanted to do something for your community.
Oh, most definitely.
Those are the type of people I need in public service.
Yeah, for sure.
Someone that's more focused on, how long they can get for vacation does not speak to community service. I want people who say, I don't care if it's the weekend, I don't care if it's the summer, tell me how I can sign up to help.
Yeah. Honestly, and I'm about that too. Yeah. But I don't do politics. Yeah. But I want to work. I want to work with politicians. Yeah. I want to work with politicians. But like there's too much. Like I feel with politics, you have to be a certain way, you know, and I'm a free spirit. I like to be free. I like to do my, like what I'm doing. I don't, there's too much boundaries. Like, but even
on city council, there's no political parties. It's
yeah, but it's not even political parties, but politics in general. Like, I see people following you around on the highway and all kinds of stuff, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need that. Like, you know, let me go and do what I need to do. You get what I'm saying? But I appreciate you, because you'll go through that in order to serve your community. You know, so I appreciate you doing that. You know, but yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, and that's something with councilors, and not only councilors, but even people running, right? And you know, that it gets me when there's just people that are looking for a job, and there's some people that's what they're just looking for, a salary, a job, right? And then they run, because there's a lot of people, they put their name in, and I've never heard of them. I've never seen them do anything in a city. I haven't, you know, but when it's time to run, you know, they're like, oh, come campaign with you. But what am I campaigning about? I don't even know what you've done. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, I definitely agree with you. We need people that are into the city, and there are people that is. Idris, shout out to Idris. I know Idris is running, and you know, there's other people that are running right now as well. And I know for the Charmaine's position, I guess there's a lot of people that are jumping in that one, looking for there. But the other ones too, people, like, there's other different wards, especially the ones that cooperate with the mayor, so we can really get this city to the next level. You know, like, that's a really important part. You know, so to pretty much wrap up, I just want to go about, you know, this segment, you know, that I have, you know, within the Create Wealth Network and the Wealth Talk podcast, right? And it's called Break Bread, right? And, you know, I want to know, like, with the city, you know, the mayor, the councilors, and everything like that, like, how can, number one, we help you get things to the next level, and at the same time, how can you help us get things to the next level? You know, we're breaking bread, because breaking bread is an exchange, you know, a frequent exchange that's going on, right? So I want to know, like, you know, in terms of, you know, just the city and the mayor's, whatever the mayor has, is able to do, and, you know, with the people of the city.
So my advice is, only thing we need, be involved. The worst thing for a society is apathy. Apathy means you don't pay attention to what's happening. Be involved. The best way to make a democracy strong and a city strong, be involved. Whatever your ideas, whatever your input is, whatever your drive is, be involved in your city. That's all I ask.
Okay, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. And you know, we want to do that. Like, I have my broker record. He came. I told him that you're coming, and he said, "Oh, okay. Ask him about, you know, the I guess there's a certain postal code." He feels, I guess it's no one is discriminating in terms of car insurance. You know, like, is that true or?
It is that there are higher rates of auto insurance. I think Vaughan is now the highest in the province, but Brampton is still pretty high. That's not set locally; it's set by the provincial government, and they allow for postal code discrimination. They allow insurance companies to charge more in areas that there's more claims. I think that's wrong. Our council has passed a motion asking the province to revisit this. There's been a lot of talk at the provincial level that maybe they will, maybe they won't, but nothing's happened. But we're going to continue to push the province to get rid of postal code discrimination, because it affects Scarborough, it affects Brampton, Mississauga, and Vaughan, Markham, and we feel it's not fair.
Okay, and thank you for freezing the taxes as well. Right?
First time in 19 years we froze taxes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, that's big. Yeah. But I noticed there was a bit of increases in there. So is that like different charges or something?
So there was regional increases, because on your tax bill you have the education taxes, which is the province. You have the regional taxes, which is the region appeal, and then you have the local taxes. So what we did is the city of Brampton portion, which is local, that got frozen.
Okay. So let's just to wrap up. I want to talk about your family, because you know this is an important part of our program, like the Mind Assistance program. You know, we have something called the Focus 11, right? These are 11 aspects that we focus on to create wealth, right? And relationships is one of them, right? And you know, I seen your family form together, because they kind of formed together while you were running for Mayor Brampton, right? And you know, I always feel definitely like God is sends that person to you. Right, so I want you to talk about your lovely wife Genevieve and your children, and you know what they do in terms of your future vision as well, for just general in Canada and Brampton and everything. I'm sure they have, you know, impact on that.
I think everyone's view of the world is affected by their own family, and so You know, when I saw the province close recreational amenities and I saw Theo upset that he couldn't go and use the park, I knew it was wrong. I mean, it didn't make sense that when they were closing outdoor recreation. I knew it wasn't based on science. And so I think invariably through the experiences you have with your own family, you know, you will form opinions because it's their lived experiences that contribute to where you see failings in government or frankly things that are working well. You know, I look at our farmers market, you know, I love it. My family goes there every Saturday. They love it. An example of something that I can see my family enjoys that I would, you know, I then say to the city, you know, if you haven't checked out the farmers market in the summer, come and check it out because I see the way my wife and my kids love it.
Okay, so the campaign is now, it's now started, right? Your campaign is pretty much underway. I want you to just give a final, just in the camera here. I want you to, you know, like you're running for mayor, you know, why are we going to vote for you again?
Well, I think the best indicator of future behavior is past behavior. And I think we've shown at Brampton City Hall that we fight for the city, that we fight for the city's best interests, that we're accessible, and that it's not more of the same old that we've seen that plagued Brampton for far too long.
Okay, that's amazing. And for people to get involved with your campaign, how do they do that?
You want to get involved, you can go to our website, which is patrickbrown2022.com. Or just find me on social media. I'm easy to find.
Yeah,
as
and
you
that's
know.
you on there? That's you?
That's
Okay, nice. All right, thank you. I appreciate you, Patrick Brown. I appreciate you.
Okay.
You know, this is the Wall Top Podcast. This is an amazing session. I hope everyone got a lot of gems and you got the answers, you know, from Patrick Brown. Connect with him, his campaign. If you like what you're talking, you like what he's about, you know, let's get him back in the office. All right, so appreciate you. God bless. All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.